Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group, and with me as always is Chip Janiszewski of the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how was your Thanksgiving weekend?
It was fantastic. How about you, Eric?
It was fantastic. Got to spend some time with family, some old friends. Nothing better.
Absolutely. Same thing here, except every year the friends get older.
Well, yes, they do. Nothing we can do about that.
It's fun.
But there's a certain irony in having Thanksgiving, a day that everybody is supposed to be grateful for what they have, followed immediately by Black Friday, where everybody goes out to buy more stuff.
Even the name Black Friday is a turnoff. It's just so
yes.
that it gets all this publicity and stuff, and you'll start getting Black Friday ads for 2018 in January and all that other kind of thing. But I actually know a couple of people who do that kind of thing, and more power to them if they like getting their stuff done, dodging the crowds. But it's I just like enjoying the holiday and just vegging out for 3 days afterwards. It's always a wonderful weekend.
Absolutely. One of the problems of Black Friday is it really does cut down the time that people are thinking about being grateful and gratitude. And gratitude isn't something that we should be focusing on for one day. It's something that we should have incorporated into our mindset all year round.
Absolutely. That's why it's perfect that we're talking about that today, because we will be talking about beginning and maintaining a gratitude practice, which is so important for you if you want to have a fun, positive life. That's where you start, gratitude.
It really is. And the fact is, there are some major benefits to being grateful and showing gratitude. It's not just a matter of feeling it. It's also showing it.
Yeah, the bottom line is feeling it is one thing, showing it is so much more important, because the bottom line is when you show gratitude to somebody else out of the blue, it makes you feel twice as good as they do, and they're feeling great also. Giving is what it's all about.
Right.
So if you feel it, you got to share it.
Exactly. Forbes magazine put out an article about 7 scientifically proven benefits of gratitude and why you should really be showing this year round. And the first thing they talk about is that gratitude opens the door to more relationships, because saying thank you isn't just a matter of good manners. It makes the person that you're saying thank you to feel good. And if it's somebody you've just met or a stranger, it actually encourages them to seek out a relationship with you and build on that relationship. It really is amazing the difference you can get by showing gratitude.
Yeah, positive relationships. Obviously, if you are known as somebody who is a positive person and develop these positive relationships, people are going to be flocking to you because they like being around you. I mean, people can always see an aura on another person, and some people are inviting and some people make you want to leave the room right away. And if you can just genuinely be that person who shares and shows gratitude all the time, people are going to want to be around you, and you are going to attract and develop so many awesome relationships just from being that way.
Exactly. We all know that one person that no matter when you talk to, oh, how are things going? Oh, they're terrible. Nothing's going right.
The Eeyore complex.
Yes. And how often do you really want to talk to that person? Because it becomes overwhelming, that negativity. But when you're showing gratitude and you're sharing that, it turns it all around. So you're not repelling people with that. You're actually attracting them to you.
In a lot of instances, you may be talking to people who are down about other things, and just by you talking about gratitude, they forget about what's bothering them for the time that you're with them. And that is really, really cool too.
Absolutely. If you can pull somebody out of their own head for a little bit and get them to forget about what's bothering them, that is a very powerful connection you're creating. And it comes back to benefit you in spades.
Absolutely. They're just going to want more and more of you because of that.
All right. Now, beyond relationships, though, the article actually goes on to say there's scientific evidence that being grateful and showing gratitude actually improves your physical health. People who show their gratitude and who experience it, they have fewer aches and pains, they report feeling healthier. And I think part of it is simply because you're putting out that positive energy. And because you've internalized it and you're grateful for what you have, you're not paying attention to every little ache, every little crack your joints make. It doesn't bother you as much because you're focused on what's good.
Yeah, if you are focusing on the negatives in your life, you're going to internalize those too. And that's what shows up as far as disease and aches and pains and so on and so forth by internalizing them and just focusing on them. So it really makes a lot of common sense that gratitude does improve your health. It's not rocket science, it's just common sense.
All right, the study went on to show that people who felt gratitude because of that positive attitude also tended to take better care of themselves. They would exercise more. They got out more because they weren't, stuck in their own head going, "Oh, everything's terrible." They were focused on what they had and how they could improve what they have. So, and that went on. It wasn't just physical health that it showed benefits to. It was your psychological health as well. It gave you a much better outlook. People who were grateful reported being much happier. It reduced depression. It made things easier for them to handle. So when problems did show up, they didn't get overwhelmed with them. So it wasn't just physical health, their psychological health improved as well. And I mean, those two things combined, that's a huge benefit to gratitude. It's by changing your mindset, you have actually changed the way your body and mind work for the better.
Absolutely. Gratitude is a choice, as you just said. And the bottom line is, the good news is you can switch from negativity to gratitude anytime you want. It's a lot easier said than done. However, it is a choice, and there's a lot of techniques that you can use to do that. Part of it, we've talked about this before, is just observing things without judgment. And at the next thing, you just appreciate what's around you when you are observing. So you could be outside and something happens to you and whatever, and instead of cursing for what happens, look out into the woods or look out into nature and so on and so forth and just appreciate all God's beauty around us. And it will switch you around. And if you can get into a habit of really appreciating things as a habit, that does a world of good for you.
Right. We've talked about the old saying, the luck of the Irish. And what the luck of the Irish actually is a way of looking at things. And the old story goes, it came about because an Irishman stepped in manure. And he looked at it, well, it's lucky that I wasn't wearing my good shoes at the time.
Or was barefoot.
So it's a matter... right? Right, it was lucky he wasn't barefoot, But it's that luck was a matter of being grateful for what hadn't happened in that case, but it was a way of looking at it. It's very easy to see the negative. I mean, especially in today's world, you're inundated with news on the internet, on TV, and it seems there's no shortage of bad news coming at you from all directions. But if you can find something good, be grateful for what you have, it makes the rest of it so much easier to handle.
And it's not really that hard to do. And we've talked so often about the only moment that we have is the present moment. So even if it only happened a moment ago, it's past history, and worrying about the future doesn't help either. But you can, at any point in time, look around and find something to be grateful for in the present.
Exactly. I had an incident not too long ago. Somebody had contacted me. They needed some information. But it was someone I hadn't spoken to in a while. So it started off with the standard, oh, hi, how have you been? What's been going on with your life? It's been, 18 months or so since we've spoken. What's going on? And this person told me immediately. She goes, oh, everything's great. Oh, except the president. I can't stand that. It's like, and it immediately denigrated into a quick rant about politics. And I was so taken aback by this that I actually went online and posted that politics, whoever the president is, whatever you feel about him, has so little effect on 99% of your life. It has no bearing on your friends, your family, all of the things that you have. If it bothers you so much that you can't focus on everything else, you need to take a step back. You need to really look at what you have and appreciate. Because these little things, political conversations, world events, most of them have very little effect on your day-to-day life. And you need to focus on what matters to you and what actually affects you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's your choice to let them bother you. And this is the same thing, it could be the president, could be some family members and friends and so on and so forth. If you let whatever's happened keep getting to you, that is your choice to stay miserable about that. And chances are the people that you're talking about probably forgot about it already. So again, attitude, happiness, that is a choice. And if you are not happy, that is your problem, because that is your choice also. So it's really, really important to develop some steps in doing that. We've talked in the past about things like developing a daily gratitude journal, a victory log, which is writing down everything great that's ever happened to you in your life. These are tools that if you have them down in writing, which is really, really important, then at any point in time when you are throwing up your hand saying, what am I grateful for? You always have something in writing to look at, and that can turn you around and do it again. But these are things that once you start the practice, you got to keep it going. You got to make it part of your life on a daily basis. So the word of advice is to start finding things that you are grateful for, write them down, and develop a daily gratitude practice where you are at least spending a few minutes every day concentrating on it. And then by doing that, you're going to develop the attitude of gratitude into a habit, which will make your life so much better.
Right. By taking the time, just a few minutes, to really think about it and actually write it down. Study after study has shown that when you write something down, it helps solidify it for you. But taking those few minutes, thinking about what you're grateful for, writing down what you're grateful for that day, over and over and over, doing it day after day, it becomes internalized. So now it's not you're struggling to find something you're grateful for. It becomes easy to find something. It becomes part of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And really a great time of day to start your practice is either first thing in the morning or last thing at night, or both of them, because it's a great way to start the day. And if you're practicing it before you go to bed, chances are you're going to sleep better.
Yes, and that's actually one of the things that the article also had, is that grateful people sleep better because they're not letting things get to them and they're not letting things bother them. we've all had that night where you can't stop your brain from going, and you're lying there and you're thinking about everything that has to be done and everything you didn't get to, and you don't fall asleep. Being grateful helps you actually sleep better. And this was a scientific study published in Applied Psychology, that if you spend just 15 minutes jotting down a few grateful statements before you go to sleep, you'll fall asleep easier and you'll sleep better.
Absolutely. And included in those can be things that you're looking forward to doing tomorrow. Maybe you have some great appointments, or maybe you're taking the day off and you're going to go see some family or friends. Those things should be right in front of you, both visually and on paper, and they're going to help out a whole lot.
Exactly. The mindset of gratitude has so many mental benefits because it's not just focusing you on positive. It actually helps you. It enhances your empathy. It reduces your anger. It reduces your stress levels. Who among us couldn't use something to reduce stress? And if you can do it simply by being grateful and thinking about what you already have and how good that is, it's a very simple technique to reducing your stress, reducing your anger. It makes you sleep better. It makes you calmer. It really does boost your mental well-being.
Yeah. It also changes the way you react to other people. You're a whole lot more positive. You're a lot more likely to compliment people than to look for what's wrong. I mean, one of the best ways to get a gratitude practice started is what I call the throwouts. And that's criticizing and complaining and judging and all the expectations that you have living in the past. These are things that you all know are not good for you, the media. And the more of those that you can just eliminate as much as possible from your life and replace them with a gratitude statement, it's going to change the way that you react towards people, and it's going to make your life a lot more positive. And people, again, they're going to be flocking to you because they know that you're looking for the good in them rather than trying to pick something apart from them.
All right. Now, talking about those takeouts, didn't you have a program a while? I don't know if you're still doing it, where you had a rubber band around your wrist?
This was complaining.
This was complaining. Okay.
This is the book called A Complaint-Free World, which was written by Pastor Will Bowen. That's B as in boy, O-W-E-N, who was a pastor from Kansas City. And he came up with the idea of what would happen if people stopped complaining. And the book is all about his 21-day challenge, where if you go 21 days without complaining, you have really, really changed your life. And his gimmick is a purple wristband, which you put on. And what you have to do is every time you complain, you have to switch wrists. And what the challenge is all about is going 21 days without complaining. And the reason I like the book was twofold, because he actually explained his reactions to things that could have been either of two ways. Every event's outcome, you can respond positively or negatively. And he went through the power of positive reactions that way. But the challenge itself, overcoming a bad habit, is really so simple as far as these steps go that it works for any habit. So the 4 different phases are: step 1 is the bad habit, which is called unconscious incompetence. In this case, we're automatic complainers. And if you don't think so, and you say, I'm taking the challenge, Chip, and you put that wristband on, and you've switched wrists 5 times in the first 10 minutes because you've criticized or complained or gossiped about somebody, you have now reached the stage of unconscious incompetence, where you are conscious of the fact that you have that bad habit. And stage 3 is the fun one, where you are taking the challenge maybe with a spouse or a couple of friends or so on and so forth, and you get together for lunch or dinner and you say, how's your day been? And there's total silence because nobody wants to talk about what's going on in a bad habit. And this is when you're really working on it. This is the phase of conscious competence where you are working on that bad habit. And if you can go 21 days without doing that, and by the way, thoughts don't count because we're always going to have the negative thoughts. We're trying to overpower them with gratitude. But if you can go 21 days without switching wrists, imagine what you've done for your life and the lives of the people around you. And if you go to acomplaintfreeworld.org, you can actually get a copy of the book. You can buy wristbands and do this challenge with other people. They're $1 a piece. You got to get 10 at a time plus postage, and I have a bunch of them in my car. So, A Complaint-Free World by Will Bowen, fantastic thing to put in practice for you, and a very, very entertaining read, or listen on Audible.
Yeah, it's a great idea because it actually shows you very concretely how often you're complaining or how often you're not grateful for something. So the act of having to switch that band back and forth really does illustrate to you how much this is taking away from your life. You know, how much time you're wasting with criticism and being upset about these things, especially when so many of them are things you can't control.
No, the only thing you do control is the way you're reacting to them.
Exactly. So that's a great way to help put you in the right mindset because you're seeing immediately the effect as you're switching from, wrist to wrist. You realize how often it happens, and you take that time to go, okay, I don't want to keep switching from wrist to wrist. I'm going to focus on this, and it really gets you going in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, another good book series is the books that were started by Rhonda Burns 10, 15 years ago, The Secret, which is all about the law of attraction. And that's all about the law of attraction is actually the way things are. You attract into your life whatever you're thinking about and whatever you're doing. And a key to what she talked about forever and ever in the first book, and she's written sequels about it that have examples from other people how gratitude has worked in their lives. It's just amazing. But it's that's another series that I would recommend doing, and actually listening to that one on Audible too is a really, really good way to put things in perspective for yourselves and start developing that habit of gratitude.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's a great way to do it. And the benefits, as we've been talking about, go in all directions. It's not just your relationships, it's your relationship with yourself that improves. Because one of the other things that the article talks about is scientific studies that have shown people who are grateful and who show this have higher self-esteem. Because it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You realize, hey, if I have all of these great things, I must be pretty good. And the more grateful you are for what you have, the more you realize, well, wait a minute, you know what? I deserve these things. I've worked for them. And it boosts your self-esteem, which in turn brings you more things to be grateful for.
Yeah, and one of the best things that you can possibly do is really, really feel positive, loving thoughts for your friends and family who are expressing their gratitude about great things that are going on in their lives too. And just complimenting them sincerely about things, or just choosing to, out of the blue, with unsolicited, just say something nice about them. It could be a trait of theirs, it could be an accomplishment, and so on and so forth. And what that does is it shares the gratitude that you have, but it also instills in them the fact that if they want to do this themselves, it's going to make their lives a whole lot better too. It just attracts, it's like a movement, it just blows it right up. It's the power of 2 + 2 = 10. It's just amazing.
All right, the benefits do increase exponentially because, as we said with the law of attraction, if you're grateful and you have a positive mindset, that attracts people who are grateful and have a positive mindset, which attracts more people. So you're becoming surrounded by people with that attitude of gratitude. And it makes it that much harder to fall back when you have people around you who are doing it. It's very easy to start complaining when you're surrounded by people who complain. By the same token, it's very easy to be grateful for what you have when you're surrounded by people who are also grateful for what they have.
And when people who are complainers hang around people who are grateful for what they have, especially when there's a group of them, they are more likely to say, hey, wow, I need a piece of this. and turn around just because of the way that you are acting and the people around you. That's how you change lives. It's not by saying, hey, you need to be happy. It's just by being it yourself and sharing it with others.
All right. People learn by example, and by showing that gratitude, people will be attracted to that, and they will learn from that, and they will become grateful. And that's how it grows. That's where the power of it comes from.
It's a happy virus.
Exactly. Well, we're just about coming to the end of our time. So, Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway you want our listeners to take this week?
Choose gratitude in your reaction and put it into practice every day, every minute of your life. You can do it.
That's a great takeaway. I want our listeners to realize that the attitude of gratitude has so many benefits for them in their business life, in their personal life, with their family, their friends, their coworkers, and themselves. It makes you a better person psychologically, physically. It makes you stronger, gives you more mental strength. And that you can't beat that. The effects of that are absolutely phenomenal. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at blogtalkradio.com/Success Showcase. You can also find us on the iTunes Store and the Apple Podcasts app, as well as wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. See you then.